posted a photograph on my Snapchat story. It was a photo of me charging these camera batteries, and I captioned it "Tee-hee." You know, through all my hiatuses from YouTube over the last 5 years, over the last 7 years, really. Every time I engage in one of these hiatuses, I just feel empty. Like I don't feel good, and it's an important part of me, and I don't know why, as human beings, we need to learn the same lessons over and over and over again, and we just don't get it. And I don't know. Sometimes it's really frustrating being a human being because we just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. And one of the laws of the universe is no matter what emotion you're feeling, whether it's super high or super low, no matter what you're feeling, whatever's making you feel that extremely high or low emotion also has the power to make you feel the opposite. And that's kind of the rule of life. And sorry, the reason I took off my shirt is because it was like 92 degrees in Spokane today, and it was just super hot and really uncomfortable, and I'm just sticky and I feel gross, and I'm kind of in a bad mood, and that's just kind of how it is, you know. I dim the lights, a little bit of a romantic sort of vibe here. We got 3 beverages here. We got some water from the Culligan. We got some ashwagandha tea to help calm me down. And we got some Waterloo sparkling water, lemon lime essence or flavor. I just got done watching the Anthony Bourdain movie, sort of starring Anthony Sessa, or Dominic Sessa, I believe. Oh gosh, my friends are trying to get me to go out with them, which is funny because of what I'm going to talk about today. 1 second, I need to set a timer so I don't... 1 second, I'm sorry. My friends want me to go out. Maybe I will. I just don't feel good. I feel sad, and I feel inspired in a really gothic way. So yeah, I just saw the Anthony Bourdain movie, and obviously Anthony Bourdain took his own life in 2018, and he was always like a tortured soul. And when I was at the movies about a month ago with my now ex-girlfriend, and we were watching The Invite, starring and directed by Seth Rogen. It's a really uncomfortable movie, which means it was very well done. The whole time I was extremely uncomfortable. It's like a single location movie, essentially, apart from the opening scenes. And this couple has their upstairs neighbors over for dinner, and it's just really awkward because the couple who invites the other couple into their apartment, they are in a kind of rough patch in their marriage, and it's really awkward because they can hear their upstairs neighbors having sex, like really loud, passionate sex all the time. And Seth Rogen, the husband, is really upset about it, and he wants to say something, but he doesn't because his wife won't let him. What? All right, they're calling me again, so they're going to be on the verbal journal. Yo, what's up?
Are you coming out, homie? It's Tori. What's up, Pat?
Yo, what's up?
Are you coming out?
I'm considering it, dude. I'm recording the verbal journal. You guys keep blowing me up, so now you're on the verbal journal.
Oh my god.
Well,
if you want content for the verbal journal, then you've got to come out.
What do you mean? Do you know what the verbal journal is? It's me sitting in one location recording a podcast by myself.
If you want content, if you want good stories, to be able to sit in one location and record a podcast that's juicy, full of great takes, and you have to come out and explore the world with us.
Okay. Yeah, I'll consider it. I need to finish I had things to say. It's been a rough day, so
Can you put this in the pod?
it's definitely going in the pod.
Okay, well, we hope to see you out then.
Where are you? What do you?
We're at Twigs being dicks for the last ones here. Oh, no, we're not.
Wait, so what is bonito or whatever the hell you texted me?
Stango, you loser? Come on. It's
Yeah.
a martini bar. Classy. It's your kind of place.
Where? Oh,
You get a sparkling water there.
what is this? What is a Bartingo?
Okay, Bistango, Pat. Oh my god.
Bistango. What is it?
Yeah.
Where is it?
It's right next to Twigs. Or it's right next to the Red Robin down there.
Okay, I'll consider it.
Okay, I'll get you a crisp, sharp soda water if you do. No lime though, because you're fasting.
I'm fasting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
you get it. See, guys, these people understand me. It's very nice.
Okay,
All right.
Patrick, we love you.
Dude, I love you too. I'll see you in a jiff. Maybe.
Bye, Pat. See ya.
Bye. See, life can always be worse. Life can always be worse. I mean, I remember a time 3 years ago when I had no friends and I had no hope and I was hopelessly addicted to marijuana. And now, 3 years later, everything is so different. But on this particular day, I just feel sort of hopeless, I don't know. And I'll tell you why. I said I don't know, and I'll tell you why. I kind of do know. Today is August 20th. I don't know when you'll see this. Hopefully soon, after August 20th. But August 20th, 2024 was the last time that I smoked marijuana. Which is like a big deal for me. I remember thinking about the idea of being sober when I was firmly in the grips of addiction, which I know to some of you it may seem silly to even say that I was addicted to it's on this. Oh wait. Oh, wait. Wait, no. Wait, is this it? I don't know, dude. I don't know. Yeah, it's this one. Yeah, to some of you, it may seem silly to say those words, but it's so true. I mean, when I was a child, when I was 19 years old, I discovered a dab pen. Well, when I was 15 years old, I was in the back of one of my sister's friend's cars, and he's like, "Hey, you want to try this?" And I was like, "What is it, a vape? Like nicotine?" And he's like, "Sure." So then I hit it, and I swear I felt high for the next 36 hours. It was pretty insane, and I didn't really know how it worked. So I got home, I spritzed myself with cologne, I brushed my teeth, and, from that time when I was 15 years old till I was a senior in high school, 19 years old, I smoked, very occasionally, because it wasn't even that. It wasn't even that I necessarily knew better. It was that I didn't even consider it. I just didn't think of it. My mind was so underdeveloped that I had the mind of like a fourth grader when I was in high school. All I knew was that I loved soccer, and I just wanted to play soccer, and I just wanted to be good at it. And my mind was so underdeveloped, I didn't care about school. But I've already ranted about that, But yeah, I just remember people's bringing up the idea of going to parties and smoking weed and drinking, and I just remember not really being interested in it. It was weird because whenever I had free time, and that's the thing in high school. Once you try it once, you realize it's cool. And then whenever you have a little bit of free time on the weekends, you go out with your friends, you break down a 7-Up can, and you smoke a little street weed off of it from was about to say the guy's name. I think he's still a drug dealer in Spokane, so I'm not going to, because I don't want my house broken into. It'd be unfortunate. But I don't know. That just seems to be when people do it. When I really started smoking a lot, when I would get bored, that's when I would do it a lot. But when I was a child, it was like, I don't know, I'd be hanging out with my friends, and we'd be bored, and I would just say, let's go to Hartfield, and or let's go to the South Complex and let's play soccer. That's just all I knew. It didn't occur to me that doing inebriants could be exciting. It literally did not occur to me, and I don't know why. It's very, very strange, but I'm super grateful. I think the only reason why I'm not extremely just fried out of my brain, just like perma-fried as it were, is because I started so late. And when I say so late, I mean, that's very relative. Some people start when they're like 13. That's what I mean. I didn't really start going hard at it until right after my 19th birthday. And thank God. Thank God I didn't start earlier. I probably would be super messed up, but yeah, over the next it really happened quick. Over the next like 24, 36 months, it really started to take a grip of my life. It started to just take over everything. And my life was dictated by when I could get weed, where I could smoke weed, how I could get out of the thing that I'm doing so I can go smoke weed. It just, I don't know, it got ugly, and I lost a romantic connection over it. Essentially, she didn't say that, but it was obvious because I was so unmotivated, and I was so dull, and I was so just, I don't know, my mind was so clouded that I just wasn't who I was when I met the woman that ultimately broke my heart in 2021, and thank God she did, It's really, really a blessing because she hurt me bad. It was January 9th, 2021. She came over to my apartment in Bellingham, Washington, and I think it was called Viking Union. Viking Gardens. Yeah, I had an apartment there. I shared with 3 other dudes. She came over. She had a very distant look on her face. She was very sad, and I was like, "What's wrong?" She looked at me, and she said, "I don't want to be in this relationship anymore." I just was so numb. I didn't understand, obviously, because I was in shock, but also I understood so much what was happening. I understood immediately in so many ways. I don't know how, usually it takes me a long time to process things, but, the reason I'm so grateful for that breakup is because it ultimately led me here, being 2 years sober. But in the immediacy, in the immediate aftermath, I just dove deeper into it. And at the time, when we were still together, I decided I need to do an MMA fight. That was going to be the next thing to do on my bucket list. So I started training pretty hard for that. And then when we broke up, I just dove head first into training. Like it was very intense, and I needed it, but it was very, very unhealthy. I got in this. Actually, the shirt. It's funny. The shirt that I'm wearing is you can't see it. It says McKay's on it. That is the pizza place that I worked for. I was a pizza delivery driver, and I was working there, and I was training MMA, and that was it. And I was smoking so much weed, and it was just, it was exciting because I was living by the seat of my pants. I wasn't answering to anyone. All these all these terrible feelings that I was having, I was drowning out with weed constantly. Weed and exercise and the endorphins that come from exercise. I was on cloud nine, I thought. I was so happy because I was able to eat my feelings as people do, and the weed certainly helped that. I was able to eat my feelings while also not getting fat because I was working out twice a week, 6 days a week. And it made me have this relationship with food that to this day it makes it weird, it's way better than it was, but for a while I just remember thinking hating the feeling of being full because I was full so much when I was a stoner, because I would eat ungodly amounts of food. Like, some people kind of get the munchies, some people don't get the munchies at all. I would get the munchies like I had rabies. I would start smoking at night and I would go insane. I would eat thousands of calories, maybe 2 or 3 Beyond sausages with eggs and sauteed potatoes, pan-fried potatoes, whatever you want to say. It's probably not sauteed. Fries, ice cream, just everything. And it was a way of drowning out the noise of the pain that I was in, the pain for my breakup, but also pain that I did not even recognize was there at the moment. The pain of knowing that I was doing the wrong thing day after day, and I was slowly slipping into full-blown addiction, I think I was always aware of it. I think on day one, I was doing addict behavior. I was hiding it. I was letting it seep further into my life. I was letting it take over various domains within my life. It started off just on the weekends. And then it was a couple nights during the school week, and definitely on the weekends. And then it became, well, I hate school so much, why don't I just smoke before school, and then I can ride my bike to school? Won't that be exciting? And it was exciting. It was very exciting. And I wouldn't, in many ways, as regretful as I am, in many ways I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was an incredible experience, Waking and baking is a peak experience in the human experience, And I envy people, it's at this point. So August 20th, 2024 was the last time I ever smoked cannabis. And now, in terms of drinking, I did what teenagers do and what people in their early 20s do. They don't know their limit, so they demolish their limit, and they end up keeled over a toilet for the first time, totally humbled. That's what happened to me. But my relationship with alcohol was always, it was very unhealthy because I would only drink to get drunk or buzzed. But in terms of frequency, it was quite, it wasn't very noteworthy, I didn't do it very often. So 6 months after I stopped smoking weed, I went on a road trip with some of my friends to Lola Springs, Montana, or at least that's the name of the hot springs. I don't know. I think it's Lolo or Lola. It's just, yeah. And on that trip, I remember we ate dinner at this we were staying at this cabin, and then they had this little lodge, and they had a pretty kick-ass menu. I was super impressed. And I got a cocktail there. I remember drinking it, and I lost control. I just had one, but I felt a little bit less. I felt a little bit less in control. And in those 6 months since I had gotten sober, I had just got really used to the feeling of being in control, and I started to really like it. So we were there. Carissa, our coworker, my former coworker. It was her birthday. That was my last beverage that I had ever, I think. I'm pretty sure. And it just kind of, and I had already done all the work to quit weed, and so I kind of thought, I could probably quit drinking too, and it probably wouldn't be that hard, And it wasn't. And it wasn't hard. I don't know how much detail I want to get in terms of like how difficult it actually was to stop smoking weed. But I watched this Charlie Sheen documentary, and he said something that really stuck with me, and I related to so hard, even though I didn't do any of the hard shit that he did. He said when he got sober, he wasn't sure how his body was supposed to move through space. And that is exactly how I felt. That is exactly how I felt. In March of 2024, when I initially tried to stop smoking weed, I was interviewing for a dishwashing position at the restaurant that I'm currently a server at. And I'm sitting across from our head chef, actively withdrawing from weed. Just no appetite. I'm sweating so much because of my body is like the rate, like it's it like regulated, it like re-regulated the amount of choline in my body, which acetylcholine is one of the most important things for overall body and brain function. And weed is anticholinergic. So when you're smoking as much as I was, your body isn't getting as much blood flow. So, so when you stop, your body just dumps choline, I think. I could be so wrong, but that's how I felt. It felt like my body was a ticking time bomb of choline, and it was rough, dude. I mean, not to mention, aside from the depression that I felt for weeks on end after quitting initially, I was also waking up in pools of sweat every single day, and it was just rough. It was really, really rough. And and when I was dating the last woman that I was dating, sometimes I would start romanticizing weed a little bit because there are good things about it, There's good things about the experience. There's so many more terrible things about it, but Tim Dillon says it best. Drugs work. That's why people do them. That's why I smoked so much weed. Like it was a competition. That's why when I lived in Bellingham, I would show up to the dispensary, Western Bud, I think it was called, and the guy told me, "Man, it's like you're here every single day." And, that like hurt to hear, but I was so, as someone who has ADHD, who knows, maybe I was misdiagnosed, but I got diagnosed when I was 13. ADHD people get this tunnel vision where they just, where they kind of just have a goal in mind, or they start doing something and we just start doing it every single day. And that's like a huge characteristic of mine. Whether it's good or bad, if I start doing something, I'm unlikely to stop doing it. Very unlikely. So, yeah, it's just, it's hard, and it's hard because when I start getting into a pattern of doing something that's not good for me, it's very, very hard to break. And quitting weed was such a test of willpower. It was such an incredible test of my will and who I really was as a person. So, as I'm saying this aloud, I think that I should be so proud that I quit. But now we're at the 2-year mark, and I find myself just feeling so ashamed that I ever became an addict in the first place. I don't know. And part of being an addict is constantly being dishonest to yourself and others. And that was one of the things that I thought about when I was watching the Anthony Bourdain movie that I saw about an hour ago. The whole movie, basically until the very, very end, he was so dishonest with other people. And my dad says it best. I mean, a lie is what you wish was the truth. And I think, and Anthony Bourdain lied about getting like a writing scholarship, and he lied about what his job was, and he lied about why he came out to Cape Cod in the first place. He said that he came there because of the scholarship, but he really came there to chase a girl who he was in love with. And yeah, it's just, there's so much it's just, it's not that when I was a stoner, I was like lying so much and I was just like a completely dishonest person. It's that I was disappointing myself every single day, and it hurt so bad. It hurts so bad. I would wake up on some mornings and I would tell myself, I'm not going to smoke at all today. And 30 minutes later, when I was walking out that door to go to school, I had already smoked like 3 bowls. Like, after I told myself that I wasn't going to smoke at all, like 30 seconds later, I was smoking. And it was just, I don't know, that does something to your soul. Like, not even being able to trust yourself, it creates this insane level of shame that doesn't leave you without an extreme moral inventory and without an extreme deep dive into the depths of your heart. So, I don't know why I'm getting so vulnerable on this podcast, but guys, I mean, if there's anyone out there who is struggling with addiction, you know who you are. As someone close to me who is in Alcoholics Anonymous, they said, if you have to ask yourself if you're an addict, you're probably already an addict. And it seems so impossible. It seems so impossible to escape the grips of addiction. When you're fully in the grips of addiction, the idea of living without whatever substance has its claws in you, or so to speak, the idea of living without that thing seems impossible. It seems so unlikely, so impossible, a pipe dream. And where I am right now, 2 years sober off cannabis, 18 months sober off alcohol, although, I mean, it is true, but I almost don't count it because it's just, I would only drink when my friends were drinking, so I would only drink because of social pressure. I wasn't really into it, but that's true nevertheless. But I'm 2 years sober from the thing that really dictated my actions on a day-to-day basis. And it's just, even 2 years ago when I began this journey, it seemed like a pipe dream. It seemed impossible, but it's not. It's not impossible. I remember when I first talked to somebody about getting sober, when I had just stopped smoking like a few days prior. Because in March of 2024, I made the decision I was done. And I quit for 30 days. And then I went back. And I went from smoking 7 days a week, and then I quit for a month. And then it was 5, and then 4, and then 3, and then 2, and then 1. And then I went and I volunteered at a kids' summer camp. And it was life-changing. It was life-changing. Something I knew would be special for the people that I was doing it for ended up serving me in a way that was so incredibly profound. I just couldn't believe how much it did for me. I couldn't believe that serving others would do so much for me. And so because of that, that's ultimately what led me to really, really making the decision. Because that was August 18th when we got done with that camp. And I smoked the day we got back. And then the next day I smoked. And something clicked in my mind. When I took my last hit of weed, something clicked in my mind. And it was a very simple thought. It was, wow, this is really stupid. Why do I do this? Why do I love this so much? It was really that simple. It really was. And, you know, so that's why I count August 20th as my sober anniversary. Yeah. And sobriety is so tough because there's the initial shock, and where you're totally disoriented because your day-to-day routine is so interrupted and disrupted that you literally don't know what to do with yourself, and it's very, very distressing. And then there's the next phase, which is excitement, because you're doing this new thing, and you're so proud of it, and you're just so excited because you did something that you thought was impossible. But then you realize that you're starting to get complacent. Or I shouldn't speak like that. I realized that I was starting to get complacent because I was just happy with just being sober from weed, you know? I wasn't doing anything. I was just working, and I was just like watching YouTube at home, but I wasn't smoking. So for me, it was a massive accomplishment. So at that point, I started going around in the world. I lived on Frederick and Upriver Drive. You know what I'm talking about? I started going to this place called the Rocket Bakery on Argonne. And I would sort of look around at people. You know, they'd be reading newspapers. And I found myself in a state where I was asking myself, like, what do normal people do? Like, how does a normal person function in today's world? Because for the last 5 years, I wasn't living in that part of society. I was coming in and out of it, and I was, you know, for my jobs and for family gatherings, I was pretending to be a normal person. But I was just being my best version of a functioning addict, and I wasn't a very good one, you know. I was, to the extent that none of my family knew how troubled I was with my cannabis use, but I was later very transparent with them. But yeah, it's just I'm gonna go back to the Charlie Sheen thing. It's like, how does my body move through space? It's a truly complicated problem. It's really tough. Yeah, it's really tough, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So yeah, if there's anyone out there who's trying to get sober, knows they have a problem, first of all, you know, you just, I don't know, you can message me. You can email me, or send me a message on Instagram. I don't know. And that feels weird to say because a lot of people that are watching my videos are from people that I went to high school with. And I was crazy when we went to high school. So it's wild that I'm even saying this, but I know that there's people out there that are struggling. I know that. And it's a real struggle, man. It's very, very tough. And I wouldn't wish it on anyone. So if you're struggling out there, seek help. There's always help. It feels so much better to say it out loud. You know, there's a point where I really knew that I was struggling with cannabis dependence. And it was as simple as going to my grandfather and being like, yo, I'm having a tough time, man. I can't stop smoking. And he told me, yeah, he said all the things that he should have said. And it's not very complicated. He's like, you can do it. You're an amazing person. One day at a time, 1 minute at a time. And yeah, it really was that. It really was that easy. When I went to my first meeting for addiction, the guy who I went with, I asked him, when does it stop being fragile? Like, when does your sobriety feel really solid? And he's like, never. It always feels fragile. Always. And that was like not what I wanted to hear, you know? But the reality is, it is fragile at all times. Earlier this year, I was having a particularly hard time with it, and I'd been sober for more than a year and a half. So it's a daily battle where the rent is due every day. It's not ideal. It's not great, but it's truly something worthwhile, you know. As human beings, sometimes we put our energy into things that are a complete waste of time. But this is worthwhile. This is worthwhile. And sometimes it's hard because I feel alienated in society when everyone around me is drinking, you know, and or smoking. And I'm just not, you know, sometimes I just feel different, but not in a good way. So, you know, but that's just not true, you know. Yeah, because, you know, people always say this is bad about me, or this is good about me, or I had this crazy ex-girlfriend who I was 3 months sober when we were dating. I met her when I was 7 days sober, and at the end of our relationship, little did I know, she was like even more of an addict than me with cannabis. And at the end of our relationship, it got really toxic, and we'd be on FaceTime, and she would ask me, "Do you think you're better than people because you don't smoke?" And, you know, and at that point, I mean, like I said a few seconds ago, it's like sobriety is always fragile. But at that point, when you're less than 6 months, it's like particularly fragile. And when the sobriety is fragile, a lot of other things are too, like self-esteem. So when she would say things like that, I would think, oh my gosh, am I being like really self-righteous? Am I being a complete dickhead right now? You know, is just the foundation of your reality when you get sober or when you start using heavily. Both of those scenarios, the foundation of your reality gets shaken considerably, very much. And yeah, and it's just, and the process of reorienting yourself both within your body and within society, it's so hard, man. It's so hard. And the last woman I dated, she had a really bad weed addict in her family who had done some terrible things, and I would start romanticizing it, and she started really worrying about whether or not I would ever go back. And, you know, one thing that she doesn't understand, thankfully, and the only people that would understand are people who really struggle with addiction like I do. It's that, like, the process of getting off of that, the process of becoming a sober person and creating a rhythm in your life that you're comfortable with, and growing your level of comfort with facing reality head on a daily basis. You know, the momentum that comes from being sober for, like, you know, long stretches of time. It's just the beginning stages of getting used to sober life. It's so hard and it's so uncomfortable that I never want to experience it ever again. I have no interest in ever experiencing that level of discomfort ever again, you know. And I probably will with other things, you know, like loved ones passing, or, you know, unwanted changes in my life. There's a lot that we don't have control over in this world, in this life. But we have control over what goes in our bodies, you know. And we have control over if we are intentionally hurting ourselves with exogenous substances, which are mostly, very often, depressants. Yeah. This is weird, huh? If you made it to this part, thanks. I was going to talk about other stuff. Like, I was going to talk about the World Cup, but this took precedence. And I think I want to go meet my friends because, I don't know. Oh, man. should probably shower first. All right. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Yeah. I don't know. I just opened my heart, and it's on YouTube. Will I regret this? Maybe. Probably not, though. There's probably more people than I think will be inspired by this. Maybe people will think it's dumb. I don't know. Yeah, well, have we been? Oh, that would suck if we haven't been recording at all. Oh, we have. We're good. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Verbal Journal from somewhere in the greater Spokane area. I'm out.